And welcome back to Coffee with the Wolves. I'm Damian Dennis, joined today by Scott Halicky. Said it right, I
Yes,
think.
sir.
So, Scott, welcome to Coffee with the Wolves.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Good. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Getting a haircut later.
Atta
I'm
boy.
I'm happy.
Atta boy.
Long overdue. Long overdue. But yeah, Scott, you are JJC's athletic performance psychology coach. We're gonna
Yep.
jump right in
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I'm going to ask you, what is this title? What do you
Yeah.
what do you do for the JJC athletics department?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a good question. A lot of times when people, especially young student athletes, hear the word psychology, they may get a little freaked out or turned off a little bit. But my job is basically just to be here to support the holistic well being of our student athletes. So, I'm here to make them the most resilient people that they can be and the most confident people that they can be. So that means a couple of different things in my realm. So I'm usually giving teams presentations during their season every couple of weeks on different mental skills that are going to help them in their lives or their sport. Um, and then also I have office hours. So every day I have office hours. My office is open for our student athletes to come in and share anything from they're not feeling confident in their sport to they're having family troubles or other life troubles, job troubles. They have troubles with a teammate or anything like that. They just know that they have a safe place and a confidential place that they can come share whatever it is that's kind of keeping them from performing at their best. So that's kind of the second spoke on the wheel, if you will. And then third, and probably most important, is I work closely with the student mental health and wellness team over on main campus here to kind of refer any student athletes who may show clinical signs like depression or an eating disorder or anything like that, to refer them over to student mental health and wellness so that they can get the help that they need. So whatever it is that the student athlete needs, I'm kind of here to provide that support.
Yeah, and our offices here at the event center are really like there's one office in
Yep.
between ours, so I'm constantly seeing student athletes go into your office throughout the day to talk
Yep.
to you various times. Um, it's really cool, and it's something that I think is becoming more prevalent in
100%.
a lot of athletic departments around the country at every level. Uh, and I kind of want to backtrack a little bit and just ask you, how did you kind of end up going down this path, this
Yeah.
career path, getting into sports psychology, sports performance
Yeah,
psychology?
for sure. So first of all, I do want to give a shout out to JJC Athletics as a whole. We are from when I got hired last year, from what I know, we were the first junior college in the entire country with someone in a position dedicated to kind of the mental health of their student athletes. So we're hoping to be on the forefront as far as junior colleges go. But had to give a shout out to JJC because they're the ones allowing all this great work to be done. So it's awesome. But yeah, so how I got into it. So I'm a baseball player. I was a baseball player my whole life. I'm a baseball coach now. And so my whole life I was really a confident baseball player. Never had any doubts or any issues of how I was going to perform on the field. I knew I was going to go out and kind of do my thing. So I go to college and I'm playing baseball in college and suddenly I'm 18 years old and I'm playing against athletes that are 21, 22 years old. They're bigger, faster, smarter than me. And all of a sudden I'm sitting here having doubts and having concerns about, am I good? Do I deserve to be here for the first time in my life, which is a crazy thing to happen for an 18-year-old.
Almost sounds a little bit like imposter syndrome
Yeah,
to an
yeah,
extent.
absolutely, absolutely. So I'm sitting there and I get through the year the least confident that I've ever been in my life. Um, and I didn't really know I didn't really know what was going on at the time. So fast forward a couple years to my career being over, and then comes the I'm done playing baseball. Who am I now? My whole life I've been a baseball player. I am a baseball player. Now I'm not. Who am I? Right? So went through about a year where I'm finishing up school and I have that I have that little bit of a depression setting in to where I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know who I am. So I get through that, and once I'm kind of on the other end of that, I decided that one, I didn't ever want to get out of athletics. I love being around athletes. I love that part of it. But I wanted to help people who were kind of in that same boat as me, right? I wanted to help people become more confident. I wanted to help people decrease their anxiety. I wanted to help people figure out who they were outside of whatever sport that it is that they play. So that's kind of what led me here. I got my bachelor's in psychology, and then my master's in performance psychology, and been kind of at this since 2016-ish.
That's just awesome. Like,
Yeah.
just to hear the whole story and the kind of the path of how you got not just to JJC, but the career path in
Yeah.
general, going from being a student athlete and dealing with those same, kind of issues that you're now helping other, this generation student athletes.
Exactly, and
go
I think
through.
that's what gives me some success when I'm able to try and connect with them. Is I know what they're going through. I've been there myself. I wish I had some of these things to help myself deal with it, and so yeah, they can kind of have that. I can have that credibility to where they know that I know what I'm talking about.
Now, for me, I've been a journalist since 2011, while I was in undergrad. So I've been around student
Yeah.
athletes for over a decade at this point. So I have some idea about what I'm about to ask you, but not really the full picture.
Right.
And even now that I'm working for JJC, I still don't have the full picture. So I kind of want to ask you, we've talked about some of like the stresses student athletes may
Oh, yeah.
face. Uh, you know, what are those stresses that they face, and how are they unique compared to, the general student population at
Yeah.
JJC and in general, just kind of student athletes and the general population
Yeah, absolutely. So
everywhere?
obviously, I've mentioned some of them kind of in my own past, but a lot of what I deal with and with our athlete population is that not feeling confident. I have pre-competition, during competition, or even post-competition anxiety. And a big one I deal with, I mentioned after my playing career end, is being able to separate yourself and who you are from your performance, and being able to do that with 18, 19-year-olds isn't always easy, right? Because they have the thought process and the mindset where I had a bad game, I'm a bad player, or I'm not good at life, or anything like that. So kind of getting them to realize and have the self-awareness that they're so much more than who they are on their sport, in their sport, right? So dealing with that, dealing with a lot of the times they're failing for the first time in their lives, right? They were the star athlete at whatever high school they came from, and now they're coming here and they're having to deal with that failure for the first time. So how do I navigate through that? And then just, I mean, with any college student, it's figuring out the balance of the workload. And with student athletes, it's even more because they have 20, 25 hours of practice, games per week, and all that stuff. So just figuring out how to be a college student, how to organize your time in a manner that's going to help you perform your best, right? So it's a lot of the day-to-day, like, I sucked in my game last night, so I want to come talk about that. Or it's more proactive in giving them the tools to succeed in the future.
Right. What are some of the techniques you use when it comes to helping student athletes? What do you suggest to them? What techniques do you use? Any skills you try
Yeah.
to impart on them?
Yeah, so I can kind of give you the three foundational skills, I would call them in sports psychology, are pretty much skills that all athletes or all performers in general, whether you're a musician or a baseball player, you can benefit from these skills in some way or another. So the first one is diaphragmatic breathing. So just teaching them how to breathe from their diaphragm rather than from their chest, so they can kind of slow that central nervous system down, slow the heart rate down, slow your breathing down, kind of calm your thinking down a little bit. Breathing is the foundation of really everything we do in life and in performance. So if I can get them to breathe in a manner that's going to calm everything down, that's kind of step one for most performers. But then based or adding off of that, self-talk. So just working with athletes in a way they can talk to themselves in a way that's going to help them, right? I've mentioned it before. A lot of the athletes, they'll have a bad game, and then it's, oh, I suck. I don't think I can do this, right? Or anything like that. Or even if it's with school, like they don't think they're smart enough, or they can't handle anything like that. So just teaching them how to speak to themselves in a way that is going to help them. So working on their self-talk. And then the third one is visualization. So this is more of like a confidence building skill, but teaching them how to close their eyes and visualize themselves in their sport succeeding, or maybe not succeeding, but seeing themselves fail and responding well to that. So visualization is a big one as well. But I would say those three skills are the main skills that sports psychology stands on. So in any sport that I cover, that I work with, it's going to be those three skills, and then we kind of give each team other things that they might need, like goal setting, or like I said, how to separate yourself from your performance, or how to build the skill of self-confidence, or how to handle pressure. We usually save that one for right before playoffs. So there's a ton of things that I teach them and that we go through together, but I would say those three are the main things for sure.
Now, I want to ask, I know when you walk into our athletic department, the athletic offices here, up front, there's that or not billboard, but the
Little flyer.
Yeah, for Meditation Mondays,
Yeah.
and there's like 3 different ones. I was looking at it when I came in
Yep.
today. Was that your idea, or was
Yeah.
that something that came?
That was, so it kind of came from, I saw somebody on main campus. They had like a Meditation Monday, and I thought that it would be a good idea to start that here. And it's just a lot of what I do is just trying to build self-awareness within the athletes, and that's basically what meditation does. So it gives them a way to kind of start their week off right, start their week off in a focused way that's going to help them a little bit. And anytime you can get some 18, 19-year-olds to start their week off by breathing a little bit, meditating, it's going to help them throughout the week.
How do you kind of help student athletes? So you have that strong baseball background.
Mhm.
How do you help student athletes in a sport you may not be as familiar with? For example, we have a bowling team
Yeah.
here. How do you help, let's say, a bowling student athlete?
For sure. So, like I said, most of the skills that I work with or that I teach are very transferable no matter the sport. But as somebody who just played a whole bunch of sports growing up, I have really dedicated myself to learning more about those other sports. Like competitive cheerleading is one that I'm working with that I've never worked with before. Cross country. So really dedicating myself to talking to those coaches, talking to those athletes, and figuring out what it is that they need, but then just putting my lessons, my skills in words and in phrases that they can understand that maybe their coach uses already. So it's a lot of background work, just trying to familiarize myself with what those specific athletes need.
Yeah, I don't know. I love just this whole conversation right now.
It's been fun.
Yeah, sports psychology. You mentioned like your JJC. I didn't know this before our conversation. The first junior
Yep.
college in the country to have someone in your role. Have you seen any other junior colleges since you've started kind of take the lead from JJC and kind of
Yeah, we actually had I forget who it was, probably about a month ago, but they had their president and a couple other people in here kind of touring our building, because our this building's gorgeous, right? So
Yeah.
they're hoping to build something like this, and they walked down the office, and Coach Sean Sanderson, who the guests are familiar with, walked them by my office and kind of introduced me to them, and they were like, "Wait, you guys have what?" And he was like, kind of shaking his head, like, yeah, we have that. So yeah, and then I had a conversation with them about what I do and how I help our student athletes. So I think more and more it's kind of getting out into the area what JJC is doing, and the more it's out there, the more people are going to want to do it.
Have there been any developments in the field of sports performance psychology that you're hoping to maybe bring to JJC? Anything kind of current going on? anything of that sort?
Honestly, a lot of it is kind of recovery based as well. Not so maybe not sports psychology, but our recovery builds into whatever our mindset is, right?
Yeah.
So maybe just having different ways for our athletes to recover a little bit better. But I think what most of what we're doing here is pretty great as far as where the field is. We're pretty right on par.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love it. When I recently went to grad school,
Yep.
pandemic was great, and
Oh yeah.
it was great for that aspect of things. But uh, one of the courses I took was student athlete support and development.
Okay.
So it dealt with some of this
Right,
stuff.
right.
Obviously not in depth because it also dealt with like finance courses
For
and
sure.
scheduling.
Mhm.
Student athlete schedules, for those who don't know, are insane.
Insane.
Um,
Yes.
Compared to the regular student
Oh
body.
yeah.
Like I was not a student athlete.
Yeah.
Uh, I was even shocked having spent so long working around student athletes,
Yep.
just how much their schedules kind of dictated to them, kind of
And
built.
especially JUCO, right? Because and D3 JUCO at that, because a lot of our kids are still working.
Mhm.
They still have to work, so they'll have 16 hours of school throughout the week. They'll have X amount of hours of practice. They'll have games, and then they have to go work as well. So that's part of the reason why I love working with junior college athletes, right? Is because most of them are going to have the stop after this.
Yeah.
So if we can equip them with some of these skills, some of these mindset lessons that I'm trying to teach them, and they can take that to the next level, whether or not they're a student athlete or whether they're just a regular student, it all applies, right? So if we can just make them that much better before they go on to the next place, that's what makes JJC a special place.
Right. Now, we're going to start wrapping up here, but I did tell you when we discussed you coming on to the show, I was going to ask you a little bit about
Yeah.
baseball
Yep,
because you're
absolutely.
also technically an assistant baseball
Yes,
coach. So,
yes.
and we're going to have Coach Braun on in, I think,
Cool.
2 weeks to just kind of a
Get in depth.
preseason preview. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I'll ask you since you're here, how's the preseason camps been going?
Good.
How are practices been?
Good. We've been at it since August, since fall ball, just grinding. We had games in the fall, and then we came inside, and we've been having practice every day in the winter, and we're finally starting to get outside a little bit. So the guys are starting to itch to get some other competition in there. They're sick of hitting against each other. But we're really excited. Everybody's been working hard, and we're hoping we can build on last year. 7th in the country last year, so we're hoping we can keep building on that.
I don't recall offhand. Where are you guys ranked in the preseason?
7.
7. Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
So right where we ended off, we're 7, which
End at 7, start at 7.
that's right. Can't complain.
What are your expectations for the season? Just kind of like where do you expect the team to go? You want to build on that success, maybe. Obviously, the end goal for every team is to win a
World Series,
championship,
right? Yeah. End goal is to make it to the World Series and win the World Series, obviously. But there are so many little steps that are involved in that, and that's where I can kind of mend my sports psychology training with being a baseball coach is we don't need to focus on the outcome. We don't need to focus on all the postseason. We don't need to focus on that. All we need to do is focus on those little steps, right? And that's I'm the hitting coach, so I'm talking to our hitters right now about this exact thing, right? They all want to get hits every time they go up to bat, right? Obviously. But right now we can't be focused on that. We got to be focused on if we're swinging at the right pitches, if we're taking good at bats, if we're doing the right things that will eventually lead to those hits, that will eventually lead to those wins, those outcomes. So for me, I just want to see us keep building on those little things. Leadership will be a key point that I'm sure Coach Braun will talk to you about, but just having some leaders step up and guide those guys. So we have a lot of new guys, a lot of young guys. Yeah. So there's a lot of little checkpoints that I'm looking for, but I think ultimately they should lead to being back in the World Series.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited for the baseball season to start. It feels like a nice spring day out there today.
Yep. Heading out to practice here shortly.
Yeah. But Scott, hey, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Coffee with the Wolves. My idea, I had this thought last night, maybe we should start bringing you on once each kind of season,
Yeah,
so
talk about
fall,
the teams.
spring, winter. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks for tuning in to Coffee with the Wolves. We'll be back next week. I believe I have Danny Turner, men's basketball coach, scheduled. So, and if not, well, I apologize for lying. But we'll see you next week here on Coffee with the Wolves.